I get asked quite a lot of questions about F10 M5s, mainly because I own one and I've changed loads of bits and bobs on it. This video today is just going to be trying to cover most of the common questions I get asked. With running a business, it's sometimes quite hard for me to reply to everyone, and people just want to know general bits of information, whether it's what's the best oil to use, what sort of power to get out of a map, best way to launch the car, what tyres to use, all that sort of stuff. So I thought maybe I'll put together a video trying to cover as many of them topics as possible to help other F10 M5 owners or potential owners in the future. So the first thing to cover, tuning. A lot of people want to buy these cars because they know how fast they are, they know about the tuning potential. So this car is a 4.4 litre V8 and BMW claim it makes 560 brake horsepower. In actual fact, most of them actually put down about 600 brake horsepower. When you go for a stage 1 map, the car doesn't need any modifications, just needs to be in good healthy condition, and that's going to see about 700 brake horsepower. If you want to go for a stage 2 map, that involves taking out the catalytic converters, so fitting catless downpipes or maybe gutting them. That will then take the power up to about 740 brake. You could have more torque than what you get, but the problem is that the clutches slip. So torque is normally capped off around 840 to 850 newton meters. If you are getting a remap, there's plenty of people out there that do good tuning. I tune these myself. There's good companies like DME and Evolve, and loads of places that you can go. Some of them offer in-house tuning, some of them offer remote tuning, and both. And there's plenty of options out there. This video is not really pushing for business. There's loads of great people out there. The only advice that I would offer is don't just have someone like turn up at your house and buy a cheap map. It's a really expensive car, and if you do get a cheap map, one, it might not be set up properly, and two, the biggest problem is normally that the torque's too high, so they go really, really fast, but the clutch pads get killed like nearly instantly because they're just producing too much torque. You need a little bit more knowledge with the cars to know that you've got to hold the torque back. So that's stage 1 and stage 2. If you get a decent stage 2, you've got no gearbox problems at all, or no clutch problems, as long as the car's healthy. After stage 2, you then need to fit an uprated clutch. So there's companies like SSP and Dodson and a few others that produce these higher spec clutches, normally rated to like 1200 newton meters, etc. Once you get the uprated clutch, you can then take the torque higher, and then the next step from there is to normally add methanol to these cars, because these cars are limited by their fueling. So by adding something like methanol and maybe a JB4 to up the boost, you can then push for more power again. So that would, I guess, be like a stage 3 map. I don't tend to use stages too much on these cars because there's so many different ways about going about things. And then the final big thing that you can do is to fit hybrid turbos. So this car here is pure turbo stage 2, and I'd always recommend to go with a company like Pure Turbos or another one that have specifically designed a set of turbos for this car. Don't just go to your local turbo builder and get them to make you like a stage 1 hybrid, because it won't make any difference. To cover a few bad bits, a lot of people are really scared of these cars. They're really scared of engine failures, they're scared of the clutches slipping, they're scared of like warranty stuff. So just to get rid of a few myths. The first one, if you remap the car, you will void your main BMW warranty. There's no, well, let's put it back to stock, or can it be hidden and they can't see it. If you map the car, basically your engine side of the warranty will be void, or at least you have to accept that there's a very good chance that it will be void. The second thing that I'd probably say about bad things is ram air filters. Do not fit ram air filters to this car. Don't cut up your stock boxes, don't fit ram air filters. Every time I see one that's got those filters on, I take out the MAF sensors and they're completely covered in crap. Every time them ram airs go on, people say, oh, they're oilless, but they let so much rubbish through that the MAF sensors get contaminated and then they don't work properly, causing a load of problems in the future. Then to come down to engine weaknesses, a lot of these have thrown rods outside of the block. My one's pushing quite a lot of power and it's on its original stock engine. I haven't had no issues, but rods do go out the side of the block occasionally. The other thing that people are worried about, which seems to be like an M-car thing, is them spinning shells. F10s are not really that common for spinning shells. They don't seem to have the same issues as the older E60 or the E90, but there have been instances of spun shells as well. I would always really say to most people, just tune to stage 1, stage 2, and maintain the car properly and you'll be fine. When it comes to maintenance and looking after these cars, main thing's warming them up properly, so give them a good 20 minutes or so to warm up, make sure that the oil needle's gone right round, and change the oil regularly. So every 4,000 to 5,000 miles, change the oil. Don't leave it to 10,000 miles, it's far too long. The oil I use is Motul 300V, it's a very good oil, it lasts well up at high temperatures, but there's loads of good oils out there these days, so as long as you're not using a cheap one, you're going to be fine. When it comes to the gearbox has lifetime fluid in it. It's a non-serviceable item, but the fluid needs changing every 50,000 miles. You can either use B&W's own fluid, or Motul make a really good DCT fluid as well, which is what I use. If you do get someone to do that for you, make sure that they have B&W software or they have an understanding of how to reprogram these boxes and check the level, because it's a bit complicated and the engine needs to be running while it's done. Tyres wise, Michelin 4S. No competition. On the road, Michelin 4S all day long. A lot of people like to use R888Rs, but especially in the UK, they're no good. I emailed Toyo and they said that the optimum temperatures for those is between 70 and 100 Celsius, and you just can't really hit that on the road. With these, after about 35 Celsius, they really start sticking hard, and to me, I think they're the best road tyre that there is. For braking, Pagid RS29 pads. I've coupled them with held graded lines, but the main thing is the Pagid RS29 pads. They work a lot better than standard, and when it comes to discs, you're not really going to wear these down. What you're going to do is you're going to put cracks in them, so once they get to a certain point where they're badly cracked, that's when you have to change them. Also, another thing with maintenance, you have two cooling systems on this car. You have one for the engine and one for the turbos. The one for the turbos has no low level sensor, so it's worth checking. You've got your engine cover, and then to the left hand side down here, you've got a coolant cap. Open that up and make sure that that's got coolant in it, because like I say, if it hasn't, it's not going to tell you, and then your car's going to be running hotter than it needs to be. When it comes down to parts, the spark plugs, when it comes up to trying to change them, you want to put in NGK 97506s. I dug out a box here. These are the plugs that you want to get. You want to gap them down to 0.022 unless you're running more power and your tuner asks you to go to a tighter gap, but 0.022 works fine for everyone else. And then when it comes down to coils, you don't have to use the genuine coils. The Bosch coils and the B&W coils are exactly the same, just with a different price tag. So save yourself some money and just buy them direct from Bosch instead. Handling wise, for these you can fit the competition front anti-roll bar. If you've got a competition already, then you don't need to worry about that, but for normal ones like mine, you can fit the competition front anti-roll bar. They do a rear as well, but I don't really think there's much difference between them. Or you can fit a H&R front roll bar, which is slightly thicker and stronger, and I've been to the Nürburgring with and without it, and I could 100% notice a difference by having that H&R one. You then get the suspension reprogrammed to the competition settings, and that helps it a lot as well. One of the big things I get asked is about launch control and what buttons I'm using for like M1 and M2. When it comes to launching the car, you want to be in comfort mode because you want the back end to squat as much as possible and give as much grip on the back end. I did find for ages that MDM was the best way to launch this car, and then I'd switch between that to traction fully off, but with the power that I'm running, the car won't let me go from MDM to traction off through the steering wheel until such a high speed that it's actually hindering me now, so I now launch with traction fully off the whole way. But I'd say if you're stage 1 or stage 2, 100% launch it in MDM mode, and then just as you're hitting third gear, tap it into traction control fully off, and you'll get really good pulls and runs that way. As for throttle control, when you launch it, be quite smooth and gentle through first. Well, it's probably smooth and aggressive is the best way to say it actually. Put your foot down nice and hard, but don't just plant it because all you're going to do is spin up the back end, and it ain't no good for these. They need quite a nice gradual launch to get them going, being rear-wheel drive and heavy. When it comes to things like steering and the throttle response, that's more down to personal preference. The main thing is the MDM mode and the comfort on the suspension. So I think I've pretty much covered most of the basics. Talked about power and clutches, and that you can use standard Bosch plugs and all that sort of stuff. So these are most of the questions that I get asked a lot. Not too sure if I will make another video or if anyone even cares about this video, but if anyone wants to maybe know if JB4 is any good, sort of like what size of nozzles of meth to use, and if I'm using a 50-50 or 100 mix, or what fuel I'm using, and little bits like that, maybe I'll do a second video. But yeah, hopefully this helps answers a few questions for other F10 M5 owners. I've had the car for a little while and I've experimented loads, so I'd like to think that I've learned a few do's and don'ts along the way. Thank you for watching.